right, good evening, everyone. It's currently 6 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and start tonight's meeting. Let's go ahead and please take roll.
Commissioner Lede.
Here.
Commissioner Calandra. Commissioner Diaz.
Here.
Commissioner Kreiner. Commissioner Shergill.
Present.
Vice Chair Bray.
Here.
Chair Vane.
Here. Thank you. Everyone, please stand. We'll go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. All right, for everyone's convenience, I'll go ahead and read the procedures for tonight's meeting. This meeting is being conducted in person and electronically. For each matter considered by the Commission, there will first be a staff presentation, followed by a presentation from the project applicant. Testimony from supporters of the project would then be taken, followed by testimony from those in opposition. The applicant will have the right to a final rebuttal presentation prior to closing the public hearing. In accordance with Section 13 of Article 2 of the Planning Commission Rules and Regulations governing length of public debate, all public testimony from those in support and opposition of the project will be limited to 3 minutes per person. The 3 lights on the podium next to the microphone will indicate the amount of time remaining for the speaker. The green light will be turned on when the speaker begins. The yellow light will come on with the soft bell ring when 1 minute is remaining. The speaker should be completing testimony by the time the red light comes on with the final bell indicating time has expired. All in-person public testimony must be presented to the Commission at the podium. Any testimony that references race, religion, ethnicity, economic status, national origin, or any other classification protected under state or federal law in a derogatory manner shall be deemed irrelevant and will not be considered by the Commission in making its land use determinations. If you challenge these land use matters in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised in oral or written testimony or before the close of the hearing. We'll start with the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Good evening, Chair Vang, members of the Planning Commission. I'm Israel Trey with the Planning and Development Department. There are no changes to the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any motion from the Commission or any comments or changes for this agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
All right. We have a motion made by Vice Chair Bray, a second by Commissioner Diaz. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion's approved. Under the consent calendar, we have regular meeting minutes for November 20th, December 4th, December 18th. Do we have any motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll move to approve the consent calendar.
All right. We have a motion made by Vice Chair Bray, a second by Commissioner Calandra. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. No. Consent calendar is approved. Any reports from the Commission? I see none. We'll move to new matters. This is item ID 2577 for annexation application number P2203846.
Good evening, Chair Vang, members of the Commission. My name is Juan Lara with the Planning and Development Department, and tonight staff brings forth consideration of annexation application, pre-zone application, and the associated or the related environmental finding. Okay, just a little background on the previous approval of this project. On June 19, 2024, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the pre-zone application and the annexation application and adoption of the environmental assessment. A court ruling on the general plan PEIR necessitated some revisions to the environmental assessment and the addendum, and to comply with the ruling, staff had to bring back the item for your consideration and recommendation to the City Council. The project site is located on West Ashland Avenue on the north and south side in between North Polk and North Gregory Avenues. The planned land uses surrounding the property are residential single-family medium density to the north, west, and south, residential medium density, and residential multifamily urban neighborhood to the east. The land surrounding the subject property are vacant, rural residential, and single-family residential properties. The annexation proposal includes 5 additional properties north of Ashland Avenue, which are rural residential. In addition to the annexation, the pre-zone will designate the subject properties consistent with their general plan land use. And additionally, the pre-zone will also include the 5 additional properties to the north within the ANX overlay district. And the ANX overlay district allows rural residential use of the properties so long, when annexed to the city, so long as it was lawfully approved by the county immediately preceding the annexation. Tract 5756 was originally approved on March 25th, 2008. And it should be noted that after the original approval, no annexation application was submitted for the western half of the map. The annexation application and the pre-zone application were submitted to facilitate the development of the tract map. The property will be pre-zoned RS5, and the development of the western half of the approved tentative map would be required to annex into CFD 18 to offset police and fire costs associated with the annexation. That said, staff recommends approval of the pre-zone application and the annexation application and recommended adoption to the City Council of the environmental document. That concludes staff report, and we're open for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions from the commission? Go ahead, sir.
You know, I've been traveling around Fresno. Our roads are so messed up right now. I mean, there's so many bumps, so many potholes. With this, are we considering more traffic because this will bring more traffic to the neighborhood? Like, is the safety being considered? So what's the plan for that? Because that is like number one concern from the neighbors. You know, when we attend meetings and stuff, that's the biggest concern. And right now, our roads are, I mean, you drive on Shaw, you drive on Ashland, I mean, coming to downtown, I mean, there are so many potholes. So what's the plan on that for the cars and trucks and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I think when our departments reviewed the project, our traffic team also reviewed the project and included some conditions of approval. And with those conditions of approval, I think those will alleviate those concerns in a sense.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. So as part of the conditions of approval, as Juan mentioned, the map was approved in 2008. And as part of that approval, there are standard conditions of approval that require fees for the project. So each lot that's developed, they have to pay TSMI fees, traffic signal mitigation fees. There's different fees that are required as part of this map, which are consistent with all maps that are approved in the city of Fresno, standard fees, traffic fees.
Do we have any other questions from the commission? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Do we have the applicant here? How are you doing, sir?
Good evening, Chair Vang, Commissioners. My name is Lawrence Smith. I'm with Harbor & Associates Engineering. I'd like to add to staff's comments on the street improvements. Along with the conditions of approval, we do have to do street improvements. So the whole frontage of our property will be improved with curb and gutter, the meeting island in the middle of the street, fresh pavement. We have to do some underground work, so that'll mean expanding on the pavement reconstruction further to the west and to the east. So other than that, you know, the project hasn't changed since the prior approval. And if you have any further questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So how will this project improve west of 99? Like how would it contribute, especially for the beautification? Because west of 99 has a lot of like county islands. They have city, county. We got small roads, big roads. How would this beautify? Would you say it'll beautify the area?
I would say that off-site, extending to the east and to the west, the only beautification this project would do would be improving the vacant lot that may be dumped on and look not very appealing in the near future. The meeting island in the middle of Ashland and the frontage will be landscaped, and that'll be beautified. As Israel had mentioned, the fees that this project generates and pays toward improvements that the city will do further to the east and toward 99 and maybe some to the west on the major streets. That would improve potholes and beautification. I don't know what the beautification part of that would be with the street fees. We pay park fees as well, so that would be going toward maybe some park maintenance or park improvements in the community in this vicinity.
Thank you.
Please note for the record that we have Commissioner Kreiner. He's in attendance. Any questions? Any other questions? Go ahead. Go ahead, miss.
They'll stay the way they are. We don't have, some of the street improvements will go along their frontage, but other than that, we're not disturbing their on-site property. They'll remain the way they are.
So if those properties will remain the way that they are, why is there a need to change those?
And LAFCO policies and county policies and even, I believe, the city policies are for orderly annexations. And the maps that we looked at earlier show that the main part of the area has already been annexed, and this is just filling in that leftover piece that's north of us is why we're bringing it in. We're actually required to bring it in.
And have you received any feedback from the property owners?
We met with we had a meeting. We sent out notices probably more than a year ago, and none of the neighbors attended the meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does the city want to respond to the those lots in regards to the annexation?
Yes, thank you, Chair Vance. So Lauren was correct that in order to maintain logical and orderly boundaries, that's the requirement. And we've also met with the County of Fresno, and they also agreed that that's a logical and orderly boundary. As part of the rezone, they will obtain the ANX overlay, meaning, as Juan mentioned during his presentation, any uses that are legal today, they can continue on with those uses.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll go ahead and go out to the public. Do we have any individuals who would like to speak in support? I see none. We'll go back to the public. Any individuals who would like to speak in opposition? All right, we'll go ahead and close all public comments. We'll bring it back to the commission. Do we have any comments, questions, any motion? I'll go ahead and make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve staff's recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion made by me, a second by Commissioner Diaz. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion's approved. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda for tonight. It's going to be item ID 2584.
Thank you, Chair Vane, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Rob Holt with Planning and Development, and tonight staff brings forth consideration of tentative tract map 6468 and the related plan development and environmental finding. The subject property is located on the west side of Crystal Avenue, just south of Kearney Boulevard, between West Hawes and West Orleans Avenues. It is the subject property is vacant, surrounded by rural residential to the north and south, single-family residential to the east, and agricultural land to the west. And is planned for medium residential, also surrounded by low-density residential to the north, medium-low to the west and east, and medium density with an open space neighborhood park planned to the south. The subject property is approximately 7.82 acres. The subdivision proposes 84 lots, which results in a density of 10.74 dwelling units per acre. Again, the subject property is RS5, which allows between 5 and 12 dwelling units per acre. So this 10.74 lies right in between, just on the higher side of that density, but is compliant. There is a plan development involved, which includes modification development standards that includes yard setbacks, lot sizes, and widths, which ultimately allow for a varied product within the subdivision. If you notice towards the center of the subdivision, those smaller width lots adjacent to the U-shaped parking lot are a product that will be similar to townhomes, where there will be each 2 lots will have a shared wall, but each individual unit will be on its own property. And I call those the inner lots, so we'll just refer to them as that. The outer lots, the kind of the wider properties outside of those, are your standard single-family detached home. The open space component required is 6,893 square feet minimum, and what's provided in the center next to the U-shaped parking lot is 6,983 square feet, which exceeds the minimum. Additionally, although not part of the open space, but there are landscape features at the entrance where it's gated, and the plan development also provides for private streets, so this is a gated community. This did go to the Council District 3 Project Review Committee on April 23rd, 2024. Ultimately, there were no recommendations from the committee. And all other requirements from development standards not identified within the plan development are in compliance and conditioned to be complied with the map. That said, staff recommends adoption of the environmental assessment along with approval of the tract map and the plan development. That concludes staff's presentation. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Rob. Do we have any questions from the commission? Go ahead.
I have a question about the setbacks.
Okay.
And side setbacks more specifically.
Okay.
That they're being reduced, it seems considerably.
Correct, and that is to allow for what plan developments do, or they allowed for flexibility of our code. So for setbacks, for gated communities, this allows for a variety of different products. For those smaller ones, they are allowing for a different product, which is what's called single-family attached, kind of like a townhome. Every 2 lots, the property line will be on a wall, separated by a wall, and on the other side will be a space open for just a side yard, and then that leads into a rear yard. They're just smaller lots to allow for a smaller product.
Okay, but on the side where they do have a setback, have those also been reduced?
That side is 3 feet. The standard for RS5 is 3 feet per side, but 8 feet total. So typically, you would have 3 feet per side on one side and 5 foot on another, or 4 and 4. That's a standard. Here, it's 0 on one and 3 on the other.
That's barely enough to pull a garbage can through.
Correct.
So that just seems awfully close. And in terms of privacy, is there provision for the fact that, these houses are 3 feet apart? And how do they maintain?
That would be maintained through an HOA. Well,
Not maintained that way, but how do people maintain their own privacy when they're right on top of their neighbors?
it's just a product again, the plan development provides for varied standards from what the standard is, and sometimes this product is what comes out. Sometimes it's smaller lots with smaller product that allow for a variety for an end user that may want this type of product.
And there were no, I mean, were there neighborhood meetings to talk about that, or?
We had a council district project review committee, but per code, that's all that's required. Is no neighborhood meeting required
Okay,
pursuant to code.
okay, thank you.
And it was noticed to all property owners within 1,000 feet to have comment.
Yes, Commissioner Calandra, just to address the 3-foot side yard on one side. So we did speak to the applicant about that. I think, he may have some more information on that to utilize different plans. And we do understand that, 3 feet on one side is close, but we have approved many plan developments with those setbacks in the past.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, do we have the applicant here?
Good evening, Commission. JP Gentry, Kearney and Crystal LLC. A little nervous, a little intimidating. Nice to be here.
Let's go ahead. If you can, this is kind of your opportunity to expand on the project, what your vision is in regards to, what you're trying to build out within the community, and maybe potentially answer some of these questions that the Commissioner has brought up too.
Got it, appreciate it. Yeah, our goal with this was to use the existing zoning, RS5, to not necessarily go to the max 12 units per acre, but to get it into the higher density in order to offer a product back to the community of Southwest Fresno to be homeowners, but also at a lower entry-level price than what we're seeing with a lot of new homes in Fresno, especially in the last few years. So in order to do that, smaller lots, reducing setbacks, but every one of the 84 single-family homes, whether it's the attached 20 units in the center or the surrounding units, detached single-family homes, are all 2-car garages. They all have driveways. They're all 2.5 bath. They all have private backyards. And so we wanted to offer a good product to the community, but also a product that was, attainable financially. And after our talks with people that live in the community and prospective homeowners in the area, we, for one, they were happy that it wasn't going to be all the way up to 12 or an apartment complex or rentals. These were actually homes that are attainable for a lot of people that are currently in the area. They were happy with this product, and although the interior lots are beneath the minimums for RS5, we did that specifically in order to lower the overall entry barrier of entry financially. So that's our reasoning for doing that.
Gotcha. Okay. Do we have any questions at all? Go ahead.
Are all of the driveways long enough to have a car parked in them?
Correct. Long enough and wide enough for side-by-side cars. So they're not, the 2-car garages are not tandem 2-car garages. They are 2 cars wide, and the driveways are deep enough and wide enough for cars to be parked sideways. I mean, we anticipate, like most of us, our garages are full of those black and yellow Costco bins and, Christmas ornaments and stuff. And so people park in their driveways in California. And so we wanted the lots to be deep enough and wide enough for 2-car.
And it won't, like an extended cab pickup is not going to infringe on the sidewalk?
It's a sidewalk-free community. The yards go right up to the curbs, and then parking on one side of the street. And so, no, even an extended cab pickup won't go into the right-of-way. Exactly.
I have a question. When you said it's going to be attainable, can you elaborate on that?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Attainable. You mentioned attainable, that it would be.
Attainable, yeah. Well, based on the density of a lot, if you, the size of the setbacks, either in the front setbacks, the backyard, the side yards, you can only fit so many homes on, our site's 7.82 acres. And so the tighter you make that and the more homes you can offer, the lower the selling price has to be, just by our, level of margin that's built in. And so in order to lower the level of attainability, we have to increase the density. Don't want to go all the way up, but I think we found a pretty good medium in between making it dense enough to be attainable, but not so dense that it looks like a condo building, essentially.
What is the square footage of these homes?
The single-family attached homes are about 1,250 square feet. The single-family, which are 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and the detached homes are up to 1,640 square feet, and those are 4-bedroom, 3-bath homes. And again, 2-car garage.
Can I get an example of pricing for both the types of properties and then the amount for the HOA, and if you're working with any specific financing programs?
We're not working directly with financing programs, but our goal is to partner within the community and work with current community groups that exist in West Fresno in order to help attain down payment assistance for the buyer. But that's funding that goes to the buyer. That's not part of our development. We're building market rate housing. We're just building it at an attainable rate. We don't really know pricing yet because, well, like most people know, in the last few years, the building costs have gone up and down significantly, and depending on if we are able to break ground, this year or next year, that'll change what we're able to sell the homes for. I mean, we've had a target price, but that's moved quite a bit in the last 2.5 years. We've been in the planning department for, I think, a little over a year, and so even just in that year, it's gone up and down, and so we really don't know until we can get to the point where we are, entitled, we can get our building permits, and then we can kind of go and bid it out. We're trying to keep it attainable. That's the whole goal.
Are you can you assume maybe with today's market rate, mid-4s, 4s?
I mean, we really
high
can't.
3s?
It's varied so much. I mean, we know that it's most likely going to be the least or really close to the least new home prices in whatever month it launches. But what that'll be will really just depend on what month we end up being able to finalize.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be at the attainable level. That's the idea.
Okay, and then if you could maybe even, not sure if I can ask this, but if you can compare it to another type of property in the community, any other new builds that are out there, who would you say you most likely resemble in terms of types of builders in the community?
So because it's in an area that hasn't seen new market rate development in decades, there's nothing regionally to compare it to in West Fresno. I mean, there's a lot of communities in Northeast and Northwest Fresno that have utilized a similar design with smaller lots, with curbs that go up to the front yards, with, in a similar vein where it would feel, when you're walking around inside there, it would feel very similar, but nothing in the area. I mean, it's been, aside from a handful of affordable housing projects in West Fresno, it's been, pretty much a development desert for decades.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, you did mention style and look. So there are 3 different elevation packages that we're proposing. And so there will be distinct looks on each house, just like there would be in a high-end development or, any subdivision anywhere in town. It won't be a cookie cutter looking, every house being beige with the same roof. It will be fully designed just like every subdivision will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Kreiner, go ahead.
Yes, to follow up on what our commissioner just got to saying, when you said to make it sound, no, Southwest Fresno doesn't have anything that resembles it. As exciting as it sounds for the residents of Southwest who have historically kind of have not been able to experience stuff of this value, and I applaud you on that, would you say I wouldn't say the make, but the appearance of it when it comes to the exterior of it would be something similar? I don't know if you've seen the townhome times that are off of Ashland 99 next to that Walgreens, going west on Ashland.
Like Wathen Castano?
You know what I mean?
I don't think I know that.
I'm just trying to get a kind of an idea.
I was just going to state, the look of the homes is actually provided in Exhibit B with the floor plans and elevations for all products, both the attached and detached homes.
Can we pull those? By chance?
Mine won't open on my
Yeah, thanks. Instead of me trying to fumble my way through the design, it'd probably be better to look at what the architect put together.
Yeah, that's.
And Brother Chair, I do have one follow-up after we get that rendering, if it's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll make a comment. We were talking about those houses that have the 3 feet on the side of them. I remember going out to Harlan Ranch, and there's a product out there that's like that. They're very close. And although we're not used to it here in Fresno, in other parts of the United States, that's a normal, this townhouse thing is a normal deal. We're just not like that here, so it's
A lot less space.
Harlan Ranch is a good example too, because they have a big mix of products in that development with, you know, like you said, that's single family attached, but also detached. And, you know, it will be similar in vein where the products will, although be cohesive with each other, will look quite different. And that's part of the idea. Thank you. It seems like Zoom works just as well here as it does in my house. Oh, there we go. There you go. So 3 different elevations, farmhouse, influenced European and Spanish from right to left. I believe that's floor plan 3. Oh, no, that's A. Okay. And then there's the front, side, and rear for the single family attached. So still 2-car garages, still 3 bedrooms upstairs, and a half bath downstairs.
I would assume there's extra things people could add on to the exterior if they chose to.
There are, but we don't want, I mean, part of our development group's idea is that we don't want these products to be offered and advertised at a given price, but then most of them sell at significantly higher, you know, which we see in a lot of new subdivision developments, is starting at $349 or $399 or $499 or whatever. But if you look at the average sales price, because every little thing is so much more,
If you
know.
want toilets in your bathroom.
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, it's not going to be an endless list of adding on. I mean, the goal of this is to be attainable, and we aim to keep it that way.
But people can upgrade certain things.
Yeah, there'll be a few upgrade packages for the people that do, but we don't want to be in a position where it's going to look like you didn't make any add-ons if you didn't. You know, the standard will look very nice.
Gotcha. Commissioner Kleiner, do you have a
Yes,
follow-up
final question, sir. Thank you, Brother Chair. Final question, sir, is, and the target residents you are looking to, based on your not just your make, but also your asking prices, are current residents of Southwest Fresno, not those moving in to move Southwest Fresno residents out. Am I correct?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously you can't pick and choose, but yeah, a best case scenario is people who are currently living in West Fresno that have not had an opportunity to buy new construction, but also safe environment, having a gated community, having an HOA that takes care of the front yards, a very affordable HOA. That was a question that was asked earlier. But yeah, that's the goal. This is a subdivision built in the community for the community of West Fresno. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I have a question, please. First of all, development, it does add beauty to the area. So thank you for that. So my question is, how would having this project add value to the neighbor, to the neighborhood, to the community? And there is a community college which is built on that side.
Yeah.
So how would this project add value? You know, people who live close by, even for the students who are attending college over there.
Sure. Well, I mean, the instant benefit is just going to be the beautification of a vacant lot. I mean, it's used, I don't know how many times we've sent a crew out there to clean up the trash that's being dumped there. But I mean, ultimately to the people that live there, especially the current homeowners there, I mean, the rising tide rises all ships, right? I mean, this is new market rate attainable priced housing in an area where if you own the home across the street, your comparative offers, your equity in your house instantly goes up. And so not only is it raising the level of beauty in the area by getting rid of blight, I mean, decades and decades of blight, but also the people that already live there who are in the community, people who are on Kearney Boulevard or across Crystal Avenue. I mean, everything will be nicer so long as we bring it up together.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
it. We'll go ahead and go out to the public. Do we have any individuals who would like to speak in support? It's going to be for support.
I'm a little concerned with the reduction of the RS5 zoning in this area.
Before we start, go ahead and state your name, address, and you are speaking in support, correct?
Abraham Mendoza, and I live in the general area. I got the notice that this was going on.
Perfect. Are you speaking in support or against the project, sir?
I beg your pardon?
Are you speaking in support or against the project?
Against it.
Okay, let's
I
go
would
ahead
like
and,
it see to go back to the RS5
my
zoning.
apologies, but let me go ahead and, I'm going to go ahead and allow for individuals who would like to speak in support first, and then I'll come back and allow individuals who would like to speak in opposition, if that's fine, okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Any individuals who would like to speak in support? Go ahead. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
No, my name is Bobby Basra, address 1608 West California. I own the vacant lot on that area. And, you know, originally that lot that I own around there, when we bought it, it was always kind of know that we were going to do ag stuff over there and everything. But then issue with the neighbors around us that have actually reached out to us, because there's a lot of issues that we have with homeless encampment. And then speaking to those people at homeless encampment, it's kind of hard for us to always remove them. And it's on a daily basis. They've told us multiple times that they feel like they are being pushed out of this area because they can't have attainable homes and affordable homes. So when we heard that a project like this was coming next to a property like ours, we heard from neighbors already around us that initially that's who we heard from before I got the notice as well, because I don't actually live there, but I work around there. So to see a project like this come, a lot of them have already spoken to us saying that it would create value in their properties, in their houses, because they're already excited about the city college that's coming close by as well. They've been trying to convince me to do the same thing, so I feel like it's also encouraging me to help that community out and do the same thing.
Thank you. Any other individuals who would like to speak in support? All right. We'll go ahead and any individuals, sir, if you want to come back up. Now we'll go ahead and any individuals who would like to speak in opposition. Yep. Go ahead and state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
My name and what?
Address.
Oh, Abraham Mendoza. I'm at 1580 West Kearney, just within view of this proposed project. And reading the other things this commission has done, it seems like RS5 is the standard for lot sizes and stuff. I'm concerned with the houses that are adjacent across the street. They're bigger in lot size. And when I looked at the view of the picture, I hadn't seen it before. They're going to be a lot smaller. In fact, like they said, the parking lots or the driveways will be right adjacent to each other. It doesn't look like there's going to be any access to the backyard by vehicles or anything like that. So they're really condensing the property. I ran a tape around the area to see how big a lot size would be based on the acreage and 84 lots going in, but I forgot to include the streets, which are going to take up even more space. And it looks like there's a parking lot now right in the middle of the place, like they're going to have overflow parking for the residents in that area. So all that, and also I'm looking at the property values. They say they're going to go up. I don't believe so with smaller lots in that area. I've lived there long enough when originally this commission proposed larger lots up to an acre, and then a quarter acre, and then there was going to be a development of apartment complexes, and now this is something new, but again, it's getting smaller and smaller, and that's not going to be a good for the neighborhood that wants to appreciate the land in the area. I do like that there's development being considered. There has been development in the area brought to this commission in the past, but I don't know, maybe housing wasn't a good thing at that time. It looks like it may be turning around since most of the city of Fresno now is occupied. The lot size is also surrounded by two other big vacant lots. What exists now is a small church, and I don't know that this is just going to be the first of further purchases of the remaining acreage and be consolidated to what I call mini houses. You know, I don't know if there's any other lots in the city of Fresno that this commission has approved a reduction in RS5. If there is, I'd like to know so I can take a look at how they look and what they are now, because that's another concern of how these houses are going to be 5 years from now. To me, they look like projects, and I don't know that that's the intent, but when I moved into my area, the vacant land behind me, Chandler Estates, I guess it was called for lack of a better name, now has matured, and the lot sizes, I'm sure, are RS5. But if you look at those compared to a modified reduction and what I see here, I just oppose, and I just want to bring it to your attention.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any other individuals who would like to speak in opposition? Go ahead, sir. Go ahead and state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, my name is Fidel Bencourt, and I live right there on Estrada, just across the street from where they want to develop this project. And like the sir said, you know, we're concerned not only on the properties there going down by this project, because, I mean, we see, you know, 3 feet of a space on the size is ridiculous, you know. And also, I'm concerned about this being another running horse project. The running horse came, and they were going to do this and that, and what happened? They just ran off with whatever money, and they left their junk there. So I don't think it's a good idea for you guys to approve this project. It's not in the interest of the neighborhood there. So one is a farmland. It's always been a farmland. And what's going to happen? When I moved here in Fresno in '79, we had figs and everything on the north side, and what's now? Nothing but homes, buildings, and everything. So what are we doing? Destroying the farmland? What are we going to have later? You know, we got to think about that. I know that there is a need for homes, for families, but we need to think also about what we're doing to the valley. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. The next individual. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Dee. I'm at 1533 West Kearney Boulevard.
Excuse me, miss. You can go ahead and lower the mic if you're fine.
I talk loud. I didn't want to offend you. Sorry. Okay. I'm allowed to talk. Okay. A developer may own the land, but what they do with that land affects the neighbors and community nearest to the development. Your decision to allow high-density housing on this developer's land will adversely affect our current quality of life, and it will set an ugly precedent for future high-density, multi-level, gated projects in our community. Why can't the undeveloped side mirror the developed side of Crystal? There is nothing wrong with the homes and the neighborhood that are existing. Yes, the homes on that side of Crystal are not new, but many of the homeowners have lived there for years and even generations. Some are first homeowners, so they're the original homeowner. We have comfortable homes on good-sized lots where families gather for celebrations, children play in the backyard, and you feel comfortable and not smothered by your neighbor. That's something different that we have in West Fresno that you don't have in other parts of Fresno. Thank you for mentioning the 3 feet between my cousin's house. You can shake the hand with the person across, not even leave your home. We don't deserve to be treated like riffraff or the poor old side of the street. What you call blight, I call open space. What you call beautifying, I call gated community, which separates communities and neighborhoods. Gated projects are not made for neighborhood and communities. Gated projects are made for the developer. Quality should always be more important than quantity. The number of people expected on that 7 acres clearly outnumbers the existing neighborhoods, and you go from Kearney to Eden. It will outnumber all of us. And what about their cars? What about the traffic? What about the noise? Who is this project benefiting? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anyone else who would like to speak in opposition? Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
I'm Kay Goshgarian. I reside at 1529 West Kearney Boulevard. I am a bit concerned that this project and the environmental document was circulated without notification of the residents in the area. We were not allowed to comment on this project at all. My neighbors, in contrary to what the planning people have said, are not happy with this project. I don't know what community group you spoke with. I would really like to know who in the community you actually spoke with that was positive for this development. There is no consideration for traffic circulation that will be impacted by the existing residents in the area. There's only 1 in and 1 out of that development. What about emergency services? It's not conducive for emergency service access. If you compare the residents or the development on the east side of South Crystal versus the west of the proposed development, you will see on the same acreage, there's only 32 houses. You're more than doubling that density across the street. You did not account for the traffic circulation on Kearney Boulevard. You did not account for the traffic circulation of the existing residents in those in Hawes and Orleans that access South Crystal. You did not consider those of us who are coming from Kearney Boulevard to access the frontage road to our homes on Kearney Boulevard. Initially, our lot size and zoning was for much larger estate-size homes on Kearney Boulevard, and every time you guys come in, you reduce it, reduce it, reduce it. Yes, this was an agricultural area. Yes, those of us know that our property values continue to drop. Our houses, if they were relocated at northwest, northeast, or anywhere else in the city, would be worth a lot more than they are in West Fresno. I don't see this adding value to the existing residents in the area. I don't see that it will add value to our property. I see it devaluating our property. So I don't think it's a positive for us at all. Again, I wish we had a chance to comment on the draft environmental document. This is the first time this notice that development was taking place. My second concern is this is a Terrence Fraser project. In the past, this developer has dumped and run. He has not considered the people who are in the neighborhood or in the area. And I feel, just like the gentleman mentioned about Running Horse, it's the same type of thing that's going to happen here.
I'm going to go ahead and have you wrap it up, okay?
Okay. So I do not believe that this is a good project for my neighbors. They've told me so. Again, I would like to find out who are the community that he actually
Thank
talked
you.
to.
I'll go ahead and ask the city in a bit. I'll ask the city staff.
Yeah, we want to know who exactly.
I will.
And why it wasn't circulated to the rest of us in the neighborhood.
I will. I'll go ahead and ask the city staff. Thank you. Appreciate it. Any other individuals who would like to speak in opposition? All right, so we're going to go ahead and close the public comments. Rob, do you mind? We have some concerns in regards to community outreach. Community outreach, understand that the project doesn't have to hold these community meetings, correct? And then also if you can answer these questions in regards to emergency services with the project too.
Yeah, so kind of go through all of the various components I've written down that were in opposition. Just go through it all, so give me some time here. Regarding the lot sizes in the 3-foot and the lower lot sizes, it's staff's responsibility, planning department's responsibility to ensure that the project complies with conditions of approval, and as well as findings. And with findings for track maps, there's a finding A, which is consistency with our general plan. And I'm just going to read out some of the policies quickly, or objectives, goals, and policies that are identified that relate to encouraging a variety of lot sizes. Under objective goal 7, just as a general goal, provide for a diversity of districts, neighborhoods, housing types, residential densities that appeal to a broad range of people throughout the city. Policy D4E promotes innovative lot designs and patterns to enhance community livability in residential neighborhoods through new zoning provisions with flexible development standards, which is what's being provided with the plan development to ensure that there are a variety of options for a broad range of people and not essentially what's known kind of as a cookie cutter type of development. So to speak on that, that's where we conditioned and found consistency with our general plan. To speak on, there was farmland mentioned. So the subject property is vacant, it's not farm. There is farmland adjacent to the west. Condition number 3 of the conditions, which is, exhibit H. Number 3, the subdivider is going to be required to execute a right to farm covenant, which ensures that those living there, basically the covenant's executed on the property before it's subdivided, so any subdivided properties, it all affects all of them. So any seller or any buyer has to agree to this right to farm covenant that prepares them to accept the inconveniences and discomfort associated with farm activities. So they're understanding and agreement that this may occur as they're living there until further development occurs. To engage on the environmental documentation review, before I go to there, the community, what was mentioned was the council district review, project review committee. That is that is a municipal code section that's required to reach out to the applicable council district. In this sense, District 3 is assigned a project review committee by the council member, and we take that to the project review committee prior to coming to planning commission to get any recommendations, which they did not provide to us. There's no other community that we reached out to other than the applicant group as required by code, because there is no community meeting required other than that project review committee that is required. In speaking with the environmental documentation, that is governed by the state under CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act, which states that for projects of this matter, which aren't statewide importance, they're not governed by any state ordinance, we are the lead agency of the city, is a 20-day notice, which is required to be posted, which we have to follow. It's a state ordinance. Through first a publication, a newspaper publication, so the Fresno Bee, which was done on December 15th, 2024, and that was a Sunday. And then Monday, following that, December 16th, was posted with, now it's known as Lucy, it's formerly the Office of Planning and Research, OPR, We followed up with them and was posted there after it was posted with the Fresno County Clerk, another requirement, same day, December 16, 2024, for a 20-day period. That is what we were required to notice to, and that's what we did. To speak to emergency services for the property and the entrance. So the Department of Public Works requires that the entrance is one public entrance, correct? So it's required to have a minimum 75-foot stacking length from gate to back of curb. And what's provided is if it were at the base of the gate, if it didn't open, it would be 119 feet. If the gate were to open at the edge, it'd be 100 feet. So it complies with that 75-foot stacking. There are also two, one on the north of the public entrance, one on the south, emergency vehicle access points for fire if anything were to happen. And if it were phased, they would always be two access points regardless if there were a fire in the back, the front, however it was. The high density comment, this is, so high density is 30 to 45 dwelling units, I would say, in general. Any multifamily, the minimum is 12 to 16 per acre. This is at 5 to 12, and this is at 10.74, so it's not hitting the max, although it is on the higher end. But to get that higher end, there are availabilities with the plan development through our policies to allow for smaller lot sizes. And that touches on everything that I have. Oh, I'm sorry, there was mention of smaller lot sizes on Kearney Boulevard. This is not on Kearney Boulevard. This is not going to connect to Kearney Boulevard. This is on Crystal, which is off of Kearney Boulevard. And so, yes, cars could potentially go to Kearney, but this is not direct access to it. And if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you.
I have a
Go ahead.
question. One of the people said there isn't anything like this in Fresno, but in Fresno and Clovis, there are, I believe, there are things like these townhomes in other parts of Fresno and Clovis. Is that correct? Am I correct?
Yes, am I allowed to speak to a personal level? I do live in one of these types of homes where I have a zero lot line with my neighbor in Fresno, Northwest specifically.
That's what I thought.
Any other questions? Thank you. I'm going to, Commissioner Kreiner, go ahead.
So in respect to what one of our public comments were stated regarding a contractor, I believe one of the contractors is here. I don't know if it's appropriate for him to.
Well, let me do this. Let me go ahead and I'm going to have the applicant come back up. Okay. So with this moment right here, I'm going to give you the opportunity to have a final rebuttal, answer some of these concerns that the community has addressed during this meeting. So this is your opportunity to kind of reassure them and give them that that moment of solitude, letting them know that you have all these good intentions too. Okay.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate it. I was trying to remember all of Rob's notes that he brought up. The big things that stick into my head is obviously the density. RS5 isn't a designation that we zoned this property. It was zoned, prior to us being involved. And like Rob mentioned and I mentioned before, we're not even up to the top of the current zoning. And so although it is denser than a lot of the surrounding areas, it's really only denser than the existing surrounding areas, not necessarily what's coming in the decades to come, as the city of Fresno went and rezoned it, a large portion of West Fresno as RS5. In addition to that, we really do believe that it's going to raise property values in the area in addition to beautification. Not necessarily just because it's new, but because it's built for West Fresno. It's attainable pricing. It's purpose built for West Fresno. This isn't a product that was copy and pasted from a different part of town or a different area of California. This is purpose built for the zoning that the city of Fresno put on this lot. It's purpose built for a low barrier of entry in order to get into home ownership and create generational wealth. That's our, as a country, this is what's creating generational wealth within families, is home ownership. But for generations, this is what we've been asking for. This is what we want. And as far as a gated community being isolationary to the rest of the neighborhood, I mean, I don't believe that's true at all. There's pedestrian gates, there's access. There'll be a neighborhood park on the inside that will be welcoming. And the parking that's on the interior is, you know, it's partial green space and partial parking because we had the extra space. I mean, we could have put another row of attached single-family homes there, and it's not necessarily needed for overflow parking. You know, every home has a 2-car garage and the ability to park 2 cars side by side in the driveway. So we don't foresee that just being loaded up at all times. That's for, you know, guests and people that are coming in. I mean, I think that kind of covers in general. I mean, there's, yeah, the CEQA, you know, we went through a whole 10-month process with the planning department and the state of California in order to get to where the environmental report was created properly. It was signed off. It was, you know, published in the Fresno Bee, like Rob said. And so we really believe we checked all the boxes, not necessarily not only the boxes that the planning department in the city of Fresno puts, but also boxes that of the people that we talk to and of the community that we're creating for. We really do check. We really feel like this project checks all the boxes.
Ask a question?
Sure.
You said that it's gated, but there's pedestrian gates, so the community can access the park?
Correct. The pedestrian gates are on both sides of the.
They're open from both sides.
Correct, and on both sides of the driveway, and so on either you don't have to cross to get to them.
So you don't have to be a resident to go in that gate to go to the park.
Correct. It's not built as a community park. Obviously, it's part of the development, but right, you're not locked out. Yeah, right.
Okay, sorry about that. So I do have a question. It just seemed like some of the concerns of the residents that are already there is a fear of this mimicking or giving off the fear that it's going to be a project type of build. And what can you offer them, or what kind of reassurance can you let them know that this is going to be nothing like that, and that this is going to be something that, despite what they've shared, is going to give them something to look forward to in terms of property value and community?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, project housing is, you know, built to house a lot of people vertically in a small piece of land. Super, super high density. Like Rob mentioned, it's not even getting into high density until you're over 16 or 18 units per acre, and then obviously astronomically higher once you talk about projects. These are detached single-family homes primarily, with side yards, with private backyards, with driveways, with garages. And then the interior, the 20 units on the interior, so 20 out of 84, are still single-family homes. They're single-family attached homes with a single shared wall. Still a private backyard, still fenced in, still private front yards. And, I mean, more importantly, still private lot. You own your lot, you own your home, even though it's a single-family attached home. The goal here is attainable home ownership.
Thank you for that. Something that it does remind me of are the Bonadelli homes in Tesoro Viejo, which was ranked the #1 master plan community in 2023. So that's far from a project housing community. It's one of the best. So I just wanted you to specify and share that with everybody.
And thanks for bringing that up, yeah.
Then can we, Commissioner Kleiner, you reference Mr. Frazier? If you can give some insight or kind of speak on some of these concerns that the community brought up too.
I already told him I wasn't going to speak, but I heard my name mentioned, and it's unfortunate, but I will like to say something. And I was glad you mentioned that project that was on Ashland in 99. 20 to 25 years, I was the one that actually planned out that project. It was a zero lot line project, so I was trying to do something creative, innovative. And if you see, that whole neighborhood have turned into gold because of that project. Also, there's another project that's near Belmont and Armstrong that's similar to this project. So these projects are happening probably not in Fresno, but there are other cities that are doing it. And we have to be a little bit innovative, a little bit creative here if we're going to start building affordable housing. Southwest Fresno has been a dumping ground for years for people just putting apartment complexes there. This is a chance to give people housing, right? And what no one haven't talked about is, okay, yes, I heard my name mentioned, but since I've been here 1988, I'm probably the only developer that have went through over 300 to 400 properties southwest Fresno of me remodeling. So I know that neighborhood. I've seen multiple times that people have come over there and put apartment complexes there, and the neighborhood just went crazy. And I said, enough is enough. These people want market rate housing. But I told the developers, and I said, I will help you guys financially if you could keep these prices down for the people. Not only did they say we're going to keep it down, they also said this is going to be the only project that's in Fresno where the community go have part ownership. So the community is going to own 10 to 20% of this through the HOAs, and they're going to be keeping the profits. This is also the only project that's in Fresno that they'll also, if you can't afford the home, you can lease with the option to purchase. And nobody ever said anything about this. When we talk about being creative and innovative, this will be the only project in the state of California that there will be no foreclosures. No foreclosures, because the developer will have the first right of refusal to buy the property back from the owner and put the owner back in the property if they get struggling with finances. So there's multiple things that this project is bringing, and it's the first of a kind. We talked to Sacramento about trying to find funding for this type of project, but we think this is where developers need to start doing and stop just going in these people's neighborhoods, taking their properties, and then taking the money and running away with it. This project, we go, no, not only are we going to have different ownership, but we're going to make sure that the neighborhood have a piece of ownership. And that's why this project is important for the neighborhood, but not just important for the neighborhood, but also important for the state of California to show developers this is what new projects need to look like. And that's why I decided to come on and be a part of this project, is because of their heart, their passion for Southwest Fresno. And I also was one of the developers that donated the land for Fresno City College that put a college there, because that's what our neighborhood wants, and that's what we need. And we need to be better than Northwest Fresno. And that, I believe this is our project, and this is what we're going to keep pushing forward on.
Thank you, appreciate it. Go ahead.
I have a question. Can you assure the residents that the financing is in place to see this project through fruition?
Anytime you're doing a development like this, anybody would tell you, it's very difficult to build Southwest than it is up north. The cost is still going to be the same. We won't start breaking ground until all the funding is there, okay? So there's multiple layers of funding that we are constantly seeking, but before we break ground, we have to go through planning, we have to go through this entire process. This process actually took us almost 2.5 years. I've never seen anything like this before. So now, once we're done and we get through the whole process, we're going to go out and try to get financing to move this project forward. But to say if this project is going to go or not go, we are hoping and we're praying that you guys support it so that we can go get the funding to make sure that this project is a success. But we got to understand, all developers are struggling right now to be able to do projects. But this one is a one-of-a-kind project. I think we should be able to try to find funding for, not for the developer, but for the end user. And I think, like I said, we're not going to go out and break ground until we have all the funding in place.
Any other questions?
Mr. Frazier, are you confident, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot to put you on record.
No, put me on record.
Are you confident, because I've heard the concerns regarding Running Horse and regarding other projects, and you know how Southwest Fresno kind of gets excited because they're receiving a possible project that could lift up a community based on what you all have been stating. And we don't want to, excite a community that typically may not receive the amenities typically that other communities have, and then we give them a promise that's almost a false hope. Yes. Are you confident, however, that, just as my fellow commissioner stated, that the project can be seen to fruition if all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed?
And I think that's the most important thing. If the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, we don't know what humps we're going to run into. I will tell you it's been very difficult for me personally to develop here. But from what I'm hearing, other people are having the same issues. So to go out there and say I'm 100% positive, I will be lying to you, okay? And I'm never going to come up here and try to lie to you, okay? I can tell you we have hit bumps that I never thought we would hit. They said after the Southwest Pacific Plan was approved, that would take 3 to 4 months. We tried to go through that entire process. They told us it took us over a year. And then we didn't know that the city got sued through a PEIR. These are some of the things that we don't know can happen. And part of our funding got pulled at that time because of it. So if it was the perfect city and it was the perfect developer, yes, I can go, absolutely. But unfortunately, we do not live in a perfect world. So I'm not going to come up there and say this to you. Only thing I can tell you, if you look at all my projects, I have never failed on a project in the city of Fresno. Now, I've taken over properties or projects that have failed, but I have never. There's not one project you could say that I touched that was not successful. So that's all I can tell you, but I'm not going to come up here and tell you it's going to be 100% successful. I can't tell you that.
So do you feel with us, if this gets approved tonight, this is going to help you potentially secure financing?
Absolutely. This is a step. If the neighborhoods and you guys say, hey, we want to try this, it makes my investor go, hey, they want it. If you say you don't, that's fine. There's other projects, trust me, that we could go and do. Properties don't develop themselves. Developer can go anywhere. But you got to remember, we are in a housing crisis. We're in a housing crisis. People are homeless. And if we keep killing projects, what's going to happen? We got to think about the unintended consequences. We need to start building. We need to start building fast. And Fresno don't have all the money. We got to go to Sacramento to go get money. We got to go to the federal government to go get money. But we got to start thinking about our future. We can't just continue to start doing things the same way and go, well, this is the way it's always been. Well, I'm sorry. We're about to change things. And that's what we're here to do.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, comments?
No, I would like to move the motion to approve it.
Okay. Well, let's.
Second. Second.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion made by Commissioner Shergill and a second by Commissioner Diaz.
No, that's Commissioner Kreiner on that one.
I think I went first. It's fine.
Ms. Kreiner? Oh, my apologies.
It's hard to tell them apart.
My apologies. Your voice sounds the same. I'm sorry. Commissioner Kreiner, your voice, that bass in there, I couldn't hear, so I'm sorry. All right, we have a second by Commissioner Kreiner. All in favor say yes?
Yes.
Yes. All opposed say no. Motion's approved. We'll go ahead and go on to the next item.
Usually introduce the item, sorry.
No, my apologies. You want me to go ahead and introduce it for you?
Yep. Good evening, Commissioners, Chair Vang, Philip Segrist with the Planning and Development Department. Before I do continue with the presentation, I did want to hand out a couple comment letters, one in support and one opposition that staff did receive, which wasn't included with the staff report.
Sounds good. And what I'll do too is I'll introduce the item, ID 2536.
Thank you. I'll wait for staff to pass it out. Okay, again, Commissioners, Philip Segrist, Planning and Development Department. This next item for you for consideration is text amendment application number P23-03410 and the related environmental assessment. Next, sorry. So under the current development code, retail establishments such as convenience and grocery stores, as well as smoke shops, which would be considered general retail, which sell tobacco and vapor products, are subject to regulations of Section 15-2706, which only provides regulations for signage and establishments that are near sensitive uses. In particular, under this section, establishments that sell tobacco and vapor product may not advertise smoking sales or related paraphernalia that's visible outside the establishment when it's within 400 feet of a sensitive use. And those sensitive uses would be schools, daycares, or other use-sensitive places, such as boys and girls clubs. And in order to provide additional regulations and permitting requirements relating to smoke shops and the sale of smoking, tobacco and vapor sales, the City Council initiated a text amendment in February of 2022 to amend Section 15-2706 of the Development Code. And the intent of that, this text amendment is to address a large number of establishments which, through investigations, have been found to be engaged in the illegal sale of tobacco products that are marketed to children, illegal commercial cannabis activity, and gambling operations. And this proposed text amendment would add new terms and definitions to the Development Code, which are not already existing. Some of them are before you, which would include smoke and vapor products. That just generally includes tobacco products and smoking paraphernalia. Smoking paraphernalia, that includes any device, substance, or accessory that's intended for smoking tobacco or cannabis or vaping, or electronic cigarettes, as well as illicit drug use or any other substances. It also includes new definitions for a smoke shop, and a smoke shop is an establishment that primarily sells any smoke or vapor products. That doesn't include tobacco retailers, sorry, I skipped one. Tobacco retailer, to provide clarification, that's an establishment which includes the incidental sale of smoke and vapor products. And that generally would be a supermarket or a convenience store. In addition, the text amendment will replace the existing regulations for tobacco and vapor sales in Section 15-2761 of the Fresno Municipal Code by establishing a regulation for new and existing smoking shops, and amortize existing smoke shop establishments by allowing up to 7 establishments per council district. That would be 49 within the entire city of Fresno. And before I continue with an overview of the regulations and requirements of the text amendment, I wanted to provide a couple examples to show the difference between the different type of tobacco retailers and smoke shops that you might commonly see. So the image on your left would be your general convenience or general retail store where tobacco products are incidental to the primary retail use. They sell other food products, candy chips, general grocery items, and tobacco products are commonly found behind the counter. And the image on the right, that would be a larger grocery store, and apologies for the error, that should say grocery or supermarket. But again, tobacco sales are incidental to the primary retail use. And there's also establishments where I guess a consumption of tobacco and vapor product might occur on site, but also involves incidental sale of tobacco products, and that would be your your cigar lounges. And under this text amendment, cigar lounges would not be considered a smoke shop. And smoke shops are retail establishments which sell smoke and vapor products as well as smoking paraphernalia. And with these establishments, the sale of these products is the primary use at the site, the primary product that's sold there, and generally very limited other retail items. And some of the products or paraphernalia would be tobacco vapor product as well as other smoking paraphernalia, smoking devices. And within the city of Fresno, there's approximately 564 tobacco retailers throughout the city. Of that, 192 are located near schools. 472 of the 564 are located near other tobacco retailers. And of the 564, 82 would be considered smoke shops. And so the next several slides will just provide you a summary of the proposed changes to Section 152706 of the Development Code. So for permitting, it would require new smoke shops to obtain a conditional use permit and a valid business tax certificate within the city of Fresno. It would also provide an amortization process for existing smoke shops. So what that entails, it would give existing smoke shops up to 18 months to change the nature of the business to another use that's permitted, or wind down and close down their operations. Existing establishments can also apply for a conditional use permit along new smoke shops. It'll set a numerical limit for smoke shops within the city of Fresno. As I previously mentioned, it would set a limit at 7 per council district and 49 citywide. There would also be noticing requirements whenever available permits are available, and it would establish location restrictions for smoke shops. So similar to off-sale alcohol establishments, a smoke shop could not be located within 1,000 feet of a sensitive use, again, schools, parks, daycares, or other smoke shops. And again, going back, there can't be more than 7 per council district. The text amendment would also establish operational requirements that smoke shops would need to comply with. So smoke shops would need to maintain landscaping and lighting per general code requirements, remove and abate litter and graffiti on the site, ensure that establishments maintain internal and external, or prohibit or maintain video surveillance on site and within the establishment. It would prohibit vending machines at the establishment. It also provides regulations for signage and window glazing requirements, so that way you can see within the store, and also has requirements for training of staff. Also has a list of prohibited products that can't be sold at the store, and set hours of operation. So smoke shops would only be permitted to operate from 8 a.m. to 10 o'clock p.m. And have a non-operating rule that if a conditional use, or if a smoke shop ceased operations for more than a year, then a new conditional use permit would need to be applied for at that site, and another use can slide in. It also has provisions for annual inspections at the site, as well as established fines for sales to minors and violations for external advertising. And there's also fines that could be imposed if, based on inspections, there's violations that are found as well. And again, going back, this is a map showing the location of the existing tobacco retailers and the existing smoke shops citywide. Again, there was 564 total tobacco retailers, and 82 of which were considered smoke shops. And after the proposed text amendment were to take effect, this shows a location of smoke shops in relation to tobacco retailers. And as you can see, even with it, there's still access to legal tobacco products throughout the city of Fresno, and that's going to be your convenience retails, your grocery stores. The proposed text amendment was reviewed by all the council district project review committees, and a public hearing was published in the Fresno Bee for tonight's public hearing as well. As I mentioned, staff has received 2 letters in response to this, one in support and one opposition. The letter in support addressed concerns related to proximity to schools and selling of nitrous, I think it was nitrous oxide at smoke shops. And the letter in opposition expressed concerns related to impacts of businesses. Staff, the proposed text amendment is designed to ensure businesses operate in a legal manner that's consistent with local and state law, and it would better address public health and safety concerns, as well as nuisances that are commonly associated with the smoke shops. And staff recommends the Planning Commission recommend adoption to City Council of the proposed text amendment and recommend approval to City Council of the text amendment application. And that completes my presentation, and staff's available for questions. And I also have, yep, that's it.
Thank you, Phil. Question for you in regards to the CUP. So once they go through that process, how are they, is there like a process in regards to how did they actually get chosen? So if you have 84 potential CUPs out there or applications, how did they actually get chosen?
So there would be 49 potential CUPs out there. There will be a lottery for available conditional use permits. I think in order to qualify or be able to go through the lottery process, you have to comply with the location restrictions. So I think might address that question.
Okay.
And then once the conditional use permit, they would still have to apply for a conditional use permit and go through the process, public noticing requirements, review by other departments and agencies, and findings would need to be made for each application.
Excuse me. So if they're a smoke shop and they want to add some additional products to become a tobacco retailer, what does that entail? I'm not quite sure what the difference is. Their mix of
or what's the definition in regards to how do they become incidental instead of like a smoke shop?
To where smoking paraphernalia, I think it's a certain percentage of, hold on, I'm sorry. Staff can get back to you on that question. I don't know that answer right off the top of my head. I'd have to go through my notes.
What would you have to say about the attorney's letter that says this would really amount to a taking of their property?
That would be a legal question. I'd have to ask legal counsel.
We can get you a memo on that information if you would like.
I have a question. What is the current cost of a conditional use permit?
About approximately $10,000.
Okay. And we're proposing that we reduce from 82 to 49. So that's 33 people. Okay, so that will be out of business.
Not necessarily. Those business owners can change the operation of their businesses and change to a different permitted.
That's anybody in the audience, please, let's be respectful, okay? So I don't want any comments. I don't want anybody making any statements when someone else is speaking or at the podium, okay? Thank you.
That's what I was asking, is if they choose to change their mix of products, what would that look? I don't understand what would make it okay.
So they could change and sell only or just, I guess, clothing products as well, and choose to operate a boutique. That's a different type of use. They could go into another line of business, such as operating a restaurant, or they could open up a convenience store where, general grocery type goods would be sold at the establishment.
Has it been considered maybe doing something where they can grandfather their license, and if they go out of business then they have to go through the process again? Or is there a way that you have a selection process of smoke shops that are not within that 1,000 feet?
I don't know if that was considered. Again,
Well,
just
is there a way that that can be considered or worked out or an option?
So, Commissioners, if you have recommendations of things that you would like to change, this is your opportunity to make that a motion to approve, or a motion to deny, or a motion to recommend to the city council this ordinance with the following changes. This is your opportunity to do that, right? So this ordinance was initiated by the city council. They had very specific goals that they were trying to achieve, which I think have been outlined in the presentation. And they did take into consideration the concerns related to amortization of the businesses and allowing for more time to allow for a business to convert or to change its operations because of the high impact on the city for primary tobacco retailers. That was the city council's desire. I think that they certainly would love to hear feedback from the planning commission on things that you think would make the ordinance better for the community as a whole.
I think the key thing is this is going to be a working document, right? Working document, and I think what the city and everyone's intentions is the fact that this is a big concern in regards to our children, right? And in regard to the, I mean, if you think about safety for our kids, whether it's liquor or anything else, I mean, ultimately everything is moving this way where we need to be a lot more strict in regards to making sure that our youth is not exposed to this too. So if we, if we keep in mind that this is a working document, and remember what we're doing tonight too, just to remind everyone, is we're going to recommend approval to the city council. So they're going to go ahead and they're going to hear it. They're going to put more work in it. They're going to have their own suggestions in it too. So whatever we vote tonight, it's not going to be like a final say. Okay, it's just our recommendation to the city.
One of the, I have a real concern about the fact that we have 33 businesses that are going to go out of business. And I like the idea of, if someone is within that 1,000 feet of a sensitive use, well, then maybe that one cannot continue on. And that has to change their way of doing business. But if they're in a location that, that meets the criteria, $10,000 for a conditional use permit is a lot of money for a small mom and pop type operation. And I would imagine that the majority of these are very small businesses. And proportionately, is that feasible for some? Or is that part of the way of weeding out who is eligible to apply or participates in the lottery?
To provide another kind of similar but related example, establishments which have off-sale alcohol, many of those businesses are owned and operated by small business owners, and they too have to go through the conditional use permit process and would also be subject to those conditional use permit fees as well.
But that's a new business, and somebody makes a choice to initiate that business. But somebody that's already existing, having the rules changed in the middle of their life is a different, to me, situation. And I think we're putting a lot on small business owners to comply. I would like to see, I don't know, this is a lot to try to filter down how it's going to work. And I can't just on the fly just kind of say, well, maybe we should do this instead. But I think there needs to be some further consideration for the business owners that are going to have to reapply, totally change their operations possibly, or close because they can't afford a $10,000 conditional use permit.
Well, how did this come before this? I heard that people were concerned because there were illegal products and things going on. Is that a big issue?
Yes, I do have Erica Camarena with the City Attorney's Office Code Enforcement Division. I think she'd probably be more suited to talk about a lot of those concerns, investigations, and enforcements that have occurred within the City of Fresno, and why this text amendment has been initiated.
Good evening, Chair Vang and Commissioners. Erica Camarena, as Mr. Sechrest indicated, I am a Chief Assistant City Attorney with the City Attorney's Office, and I oversee the Division of Code Enforcement. And just last August, we entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Attorney General's Office that partnered up the city's resources with their resources for the purpose of eradicating illegal cannabis activity throughout the city of Fresno. And so since that time, we developed a team, and that team canvassed the entire city of Fresno. And although Mr. Sechrest has identified a total of, 64 or 84 smoke shops, I can tell you that there are actually over 140 operating unlawfully in the city. A lot of them are operating close to schools. And during our first year of inspections that we've conducted, we have found that almost all of them have loaded weapons behind their counters. They have, 100% of them have code violations, other code violations, whether they're unpermitted modifications or habitating inside the smoke shops, egress issues, electrical bypass issues, other significant health and safety issues associated with many of these smoke shops. In addition, we've found tons and tons of illegal cannabis activity. And in the process of us looking for the illegal cannabis, we discovered all of this illegal tobacco that is being sold. It's either untaxed, and so we work very closely with the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration, or it's flavored tobacco. And in California, it's illegal to have flavored tobacco, and almost every single smoke shop you go into, or went into before we conducted our inspections, almost all of them had this on display. The advertising of these products are very appealing to children. Cartoon characters on the packages. We found that a lot of these packages were fraudulently packaged to give the illusion that they've been approved, but none of it's been tested. We've found other illicit drugs in some of these smoke shops. A lot of cash. So many of these may be true, genuine, small mom and pop smoke shops, but a lot of them are making a very lucrative business selling a lot of the tobacco as well, the untaxed and the illegal tobacco, as well as other items that they're doing. We found that there's a ton of gambling going on in a lot of these smoke shops. So that, to answer the question, is really what triggered, I think, the council members into developing an ordinance that we can actually sink our teeth into and help enforce and, again, eliminate these products from reaching our youth, to your point.
So can the enforcement of the laws and shutting down the illegal operations, isn't that the first step? And to see what is left when that's done?
I can tell you that as a result of our enforcement, and at the time, mind you, we were only looking for illegal cannabis. It was just within that program that we learned about all the illegal tobacco. But to answer your question, within that year, 15 smoke shops have, as a result of our enforcement, have had to close down because a lot of their product was removed because it couldn't be on display and for sale.
But that's only 15 out of 60 that are operating illegally.
Right. With respect to the amortization process of that, if that's what you're referring to, and after 18 months they would close down, that would be outside the realm of code enforcement, and I would have to refer to the other segment of our city attorney's office, and I believe they're going to provide a memo. That kind of goes to the point of the eminent domain you're referring to, having them close down.
No, but what I'm saying is if you were to close down all of the illegally operating, that would be like 60 of the 140.
I'm
right?
sorry, if you can repeat the question.
I mean, if you were to shut down all of the illegal operations, I mean, what's to stop the city from doing that?
Well, we don't actually shut them down. It's basically as a result of our enforcement, forcing them to remove the illegal products from their display cases and from being sold. It basically constructively results in them having to shut down because now they don't have the rest of that product to sell.
So you're talking about loss of revenue?
Or loss of revenue, exactly. And that's kind of the goal, is not to criminalize them or having them arrested, but rather to hit them where it hurts, which is their pocketbook, and financially cite them.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Well, Phil, why don't we do this? Let's go ahead, and I would like to hear from the public, kind of get their input on it, just because, honestly, like in my opinion, like I don't feel comfortable making any kind of recommendation tonight. I would like to kind of hear from the public and see what their concerns are and potentially revisit this conversation moving forward. Okay. Right. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot this out to the public. Anybody, so I'm not even going to, before we start though, I'm just going to leave this open. If whether you're in support or opposition, just have you speak. Let's go ahead and state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, hi, my name is AJ Rassamni. I'm the president of Black Merchants Association. I have a lot of members of my association. They're smoke shops. So for me, I never smoked in my life. I never vaped in my life. I'm not intending to do it. But I believe legal people, businesses, small business that invested tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars to open their businesses, they cannot be just shut down because the city decided to change that, to create the CUP. Talking about the $10,000, that's a lot of money. Talking about what I meant, what Erica just said, I don't, about gambling. I mean, that happened maybe last year. They got a lot of people or people selling illegal drugs. So all the members I represent are saying, if you find anybody doing something illegal, close them down. And even if somebody really creating loitering in the area, because I do have a smoke shop I'm dealing with today, if they're creating loitering in the area that affecting the other businesses and affecting the revenue of other businesses, they should be closed down too. So I do represent the smoke shops as long as they're doing everything by the book and they're providing revenue to the city. So I just heard today that our smoke shops are also not paying revenue. I do have paperwork, income tax revenue showing how much they're paying in taxes in hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I did provide this to the city council. So there's few bad apples. It should not affect everybody else. You know, so I really suggest that you need to listen, take time and listen to the smoke shops and listen to feedback too. I mean, they invested hundreds of thousands of dollars. They purchased homes, cars, they put the kids in private school. You cannot just say, okay, yeah, you're going to lose everything after 18 months. You cannot tell somebody if they have an auto dealership and now it's legal, you're going to open auto dealership now, go open a mechanic shop. So you cannot tell those people that they know what they're doing, they're good at what they're doing, say, oh, you have to change the kind of business you're doing today. It doesn't work. And also the 18 months, I just need an answer for that. It said within 18 months they have to close. However, there's zoning ordinance, section 15-404, and it says continuation of legal non-conforming uses except as otherwise provided in this article. Any legal non-conforming use may continue indefinitely. No illegal non-conforming use shall continue unless such use subsequent come into conforming with the applicable provision of this code. So for me, if within 18 months they cannot get the CUP, they should be called legal non-conforming. And this happened in the past, it happened in the liquor stores. So I know liquor store I deal with now, they're like across the street from a school and they have a CUP. You know, so a lot of smoke shops, by the way, at least one of them I know, they've been grandfathered in before a school opened. So how can you come and tell them today, oh, now you have to close because you're within 1,000 feet of the school? So there's a lot of conditions that need to be addressed. And that's basically my Anybody has anything?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and, thank you, I appreciate it. We'll go ahead and continue to allow the public speak. Go ahead, state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Shadad Sufyan. I'm the owner of Fresno Smoke Shop, and I've been in business for 18 years at that same location. When I opened up my business, I applied for zoning, permits, and license, and I was approved, and everything's been good. Me and all my brothers work there. I've never had a situation, never had a problem in 18 years. I understand where the city and them are coming from regarding smoke shops and stuff, but not all of us are bad. Some of us are good. You'll find a couple of bad apples here and there, and I get it. Look, if you come in, you see somebody doing something wrong, you tell them, hey, you can't do this. Next time they're doing it, give them a fine. Third time, they gotta close up. I get it. I have kids. I want my kids to grow up in a good area. I love Fresno. I'm born and raised there. I have a 20-year lease in my shop. I don't wanna go nowhere. I love it there. I don't do nothing illegal. If there's rules and regulations that are changing faster than I can understand, tell us. There's stuff that are getting changed every month. You can sell this today, you can't sell this tomorrow. Give us a list of what we can sell and what we can't sell. We'll follow it. We'll teach everybody. We'll show them what's right and what's wrong. Let us continue making a living. I can't close up my business in 18 months and then go flip burgers at McDonald's. Give us a fair playing field. Tell us what we can do and what we can't do. Help us, help you understand what it is that we can and can't do. We have no problem with that. Some stuff makes sense. Close at 10 o'clock, we'll close at 10 o'clock. Keep the shops clean, we'll keep them clean. Our stores only allow people 21 and older to come in. We have no kids coming in, there's nothing like that. Grocery stores, there's kids and stuff like that. We only allow adults. Some people like to drink after work. Some people like to sip wine. Some people like to smoke. We're nobody to judge. Some people don't like smoke shops. Hey, but some people do. Allow us to continue operating. Tell us what you don't like, what you do like, and we'll do it. We're part of the community. We're not going nowhere. And, we want to be a team. We don't want to go against anybody. We don't want to close anybody down. It's not fair. It's unconstitutional to do that. And thank you guys very much for listening.
Thank you. Please state your name.
Yeah,
Well,
AJ Rassamni from Lax Motion Association.
Yeah,
I
my
just have-
apologies, but you already have your time to speak.
Okay, I just want to show actually tax return, $7 million, and they pay
appreciate it.
taxes on the books.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Eddie. I've lived in Fresno since 2000. I have a 16 years and a 13-year-old kid. We speak every day about this vape stop and the smoke shop stuff. And I tell them what's good for them and what's not good for them. I've never smoked in my life. I've never vaped in my life. But there are people that actually like that stuff. Up to this point, all the conversations have been about rebuilding Fresno. And this is the only one that's about tearing it down or shutting it down. And I don't think that's fair. And that's very unconstitutional. The rules are about like 16 pages. I've read through like 3-4 times. None of the businesses in Fresno can follow these rules and survive. I don't know if you guys read it or not. It's just, you can't do it. There's so much that you can do. I mean, inside the store we can control. Outside the store we can't. They want us to, keep the parking lot clean. That's not our job. That's landlord's job. And when they give the smoke shop citations, they also let the landlord know that we're selling illegal stuff. And again, my colleague said, we have no list that this is legal and this is illegal. And we've been asking for us like, hey, can you provide the list of the product that are legal to sell in smoke shop versus what's illegal? We'll take them out. And like I said, I have a house here. I have several businesses in Fresno. Never had no issue with no authority or anybody. As far as illegal activities like gambling, shut them down. Or the first offense, shut them down. We are all in support of that. If you see anybody selling illegal stuff, so-called illegal, we don't even know what legal and illegal is. So when we do get the list, then we'll know, like, hey, we cannot sell this product. This product is not, good for sale. So until we get that list, just the definition of legal and illegal is very vast. And like I said, I've never smoked, I've never vaped, hardly ever drink, you know, that's not my thing. But a lot of the people like to do those things. And as far as like the flavors, I understand those are illegal, but you go to a liquor store, strawberry daiquiri, blueberry this, blueberry that, you know? And all our smoke shops are 21 and over. The kids can't even go in there to see any of the product. And some of the regulations are just outrageous. There is no way that these 15 pages can be met. If the cup, this is the condition of the cup, I think everything, all of us have to shut down. And like my guy says, some of us says, 10 years lease, 5 years lease, 20 years lease, what's gonna happen to those? What are we gonna do with the lease? That's like $2,500 to $3,000 each store every month. So I hope you guys consider all that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Sam Asmari. Good evening. The concerns the same as my colleagues is, it's not just what they're trying to do, what he stated they were trying to do is change this small and this small. It's actually, if you read through it, is way worse, to almost like 10 times worse. We want you guys to get trained. Every worker, every employee needs to be trained by the Department of Police on how to sell an item, a retail item. We buy it wholesale, you scan it, and it gets sold. Why do I need to train a special kind of unit on how to come work a register and a counter? Like the stuff they're asking us is beyond normal or beyond. It's almost like saying, we know you guys won't be able to make this list happen. That's what's gonna help you guys close down. This is a loophole to close you guys down. You know, I've been in business since 2000. Smoke shops here in Fresno since 2015. I've never had an issue. Code enforcement's at my store. State board's at my store every 2 weeks, which is normal, compliance check. We pass with flying colors every single time. So when they say legitimate businesses, they need to chase the ones that don't have the business license. As he stated, 140 stores are in town, but only 60 have a legit Fresno City business license, a state of department tobacco license, the CDTFA license, which we all have. And we're all employed, we have employees, 15 to 20 employees I employ. They have families too, they have kids as well. I have 2 kids myself. I live 2 blocks away from my business. I enjoyed the smoke shop scene. I used to smoke cigarettes. Vaping helped me quit cigarettes. As an adult, that was my choice to do, you know? My kids know better not to touch my vape. Inside my store, no kid is allowed in our store. It's a 21 and over store. I cannot control other people's, you know, behavior or how their kids might have gotten a flavor 3-4 years ago, not today. Because state of California, as of January, have changed the laws so severe, the city doesn't need to do nothing. It's a 1, 2, 3 rule from the state of California. You do this first time, I think $1,500 fine. Second time suspension, third time, no more license, revoked. And that started January 1st, 2 weeks ago. So we're already on severe punishment from the state. And we're complying every week. What my colleague meant by illegal items, he meant like today I have a cigar that's sweet. Tomorrow it became illegal. You can no longer sell a sweet cigar. It has to be a plain cigar. So the laws were changing every 2 days, damn near this whole 2 weeks. That's what we mean by illegal. We're not talking narcotics or other stuff, what you guys might think illegal. We're actually talking a flavor, Marlboro Lights, for example. Tomorrow you can't sell lights. You can only sell Marlboro Silver. That's where the laws are changing daily basis on the Fresno scene. You know, so we're just trying to pursue and push the legitimate business we have been doing for 10 years, 15 years. And like I said, I employ myself 20 employees. And sales tax, we pay over 15 grand, you know, a location in sales tax a month, monthly. Of course you're gonna get cash. He stated cash business.
Yeah, let me go. I'm gonna have you go ahead and wrap it up, okay?
Okay, I'll wrap it up. I'm just saying that we are legitimate. To make us close up and leave shop, how do we do that with leases, 5 to 10 year to 20 year leases on buildings? Some of us bought the buildings that we lease. You know, how do you expect a legitimate business owner to say, close your door and go home? This doesn't make sense at all.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
guys.
Any other individuals would like to speak? Any other individuals who would like to speak? This is going to be the final moment for public comment, so if you want to go ahead and speak, then make sure you speak. All right, we'll go ahead and close all public comments. Phil?
I'd just like to address one of the ongoing or continuing concerns about 18 months not being a suitable time for a business to close or change their business operations. So the proposed text amendment, it does include provisions that if 18 months isn't enough time, applicants or business owners can request extensions of that period. There are certain requirements or criteria that they would need to demonstrate. Some of those include if they're already locked in with a lease agreement, or if there's, let me turn to that section, provide a little more clarity. So that it would just basically be based on their lease agreement or the amount of investment that they might have made for their business or to their property. That there's criteria in here that if the applicant is able to demonstrate to the review authority, an extension can be granted to that 18-month period.
Questions, comments?
I'd like to comment. I'm totally opposed to this. I know that the staff has done what they've been asked to by the city council, so it's not about you. As a business owner, to be told that you have to change what you're doing, I've been doing the same thing for 55 years, and if you came in and said, Kathy, now you have to stop getting people jobs, and I want you to open a clothing store, that's closing my business down. Mm-hmm. And although I am totally opposed to smoking and vaping and all of that, I also know that they have a right to have a business. And so I think this whole thing has gotten too extreme. I don't see any way that we could approve this. And I know that we're just recommending it, that the city council will just do what they want to do, but I cannot recommend approval for this. It's gone too far. It sounds to me like it's more of an enforcement issue, and I don't think, I'm assuming that the gentlemen who are here are not the ones who are doing the egregious illegal activities. So I'm just astonished and totally opposed to this.
Commissioner Calandra?
Have a question for the people out there. How many of you have security systems and cameras in your stores?
Do we?
You all do? Okay.
So Commissioner, typically you would need to ask the chair and the commission for permission to call someone back to the podium. We don't have a way to record on the record what is happening. So you could ask the chair and the commission for permission to pull somebody back up to ask questions since we've closed the public hearing.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Do you want to? Do we need a vote? Do we need a vote on this too, Jen, or no?
You can do it informally, yes.
Okay. Well, Commissioner Calandra, is there anyone specific? Because I don't want to open it to everybody. If you have.
That was just because as I read all the requirements, it just seemed if people didn't have that already in their business, that would be, in addition to the CUP, that would be another large expense to put in a security system, camera system. But if they already conduct their business that way, that's not another barrier that we're putting in front of them. But I tend to agree with Kathy that this is a very, to me, in a sense, it is a taking of some of these businesses, because they're not all going to be able to survive. Going from 82 to 49, 33, are going to fail in that lottery. And if they're the majority of these 82 are operating the way they should be and not illegally, like, part of that 140 that were not operating legally, then to me, it's just unfair to the businesses, to ask them to change how they do business or what kind of business they even have. So I'm going to support Catherine.
Commissioner Lede.
Okay, I do have a few things to say. So I would like for this to, if they apply for the lottery, what is the cost of them going into the lottery? Is there a cost at all, or is this just a lottery that's free? Does their name get drawn into a hat, or how does that work?
We have not had that detail of conversation with the city council at this time.
Okay.
It's my understanding that the initial piece would be without an application fee, but I can't confirm that at this point in time. So within each council district, each operating business would be notified, and then within each council district, there was a maximum of 7. So again, it would be similar to some of our alcohol license limits based on census tract data, et cetera. So it would be very similar in that sense in terms of concentration. So each one would be notified, and there would be 7 within each council district.
Okay, well, I would like to recommend that the lottery system be actually based on a merit system. I see the initiative of a lot of these business owners, and they're here and they are taking accountability, and they're showing that they care for their businesses and they want to be compliant. So I think that would be very important, instead of just, when we say lottery, I don't really know what that means. So instead of just picking out of the businesses that are out there, there be a merit system or an application system to where they can show their, perhaps revenue, their credibility, the accountability of their businesses, because I would rather there be 7 strong businesses that are going to uphold all of the standards, as opposed to just a random business that maybe may not. So that is something that I do recommend. And then I do notice that I hear a lot of tell us what to do and X, Y, and Z. So you guys are operating businesses that are selling products that are giving people cancer and killing them. And several of you notice this because you say we don't do the products or we don't smoke. And I do want there to be that accountability. That's why it's so strict, and that's why there is a big responsibility that's going to be placed on these 7 businesses that are there. Yes, I understand business owners have a right to operate, but we have to think of the type of business that you're running. And when you sell these type of products, you get this type of scrutiny. That's all I have to say.
Commissioner Kreiner.
Yeah, I'll make mine pretty brief. Commissioner, my fellow commissioner stated it best. There's been a lot of things that have brought here. This is probably one that, personally, as much as I despise the smoking and smoke shops, I also feel like whenever we give a business an opportunity or a business owner an opportunity to open up a business, then to put stipulations that are sometimes so strenuous that it not only gives the business owner, but those who are working for them, sheer concern, as much concern as we have up here for the children that are in those neighborhoods. Some of those business owners and those who are working for them have children as well who are just as concerned about how they're going to feed their families. I think that's kind of outrageous. To say that one bad apple spoils the bunch is kind of what I'm hearing and seeing, and I don't think that's a fair assessment, especially as my sister just got through saying those who are good actors and good players in this business are the ones that are sitting in front of us, and those who are not sitting in front of us, which shows a whole lot of accountability for the good players who are being held accountable for the actions of some of the bad players, which I don't think is fair. I think we have to consider if certain things are done, even if we are giving a CUP of $10,000 for those who are in small business who cannot meet that amount of money, or if they do, it would cause severe strain on their business and their personal well-being. And I know personally you probably did not mean for it to sound the way it does, but as a person who operates as a nonprofit, to be told at the last minute we need to change the way we're typically doing it so that we become either selling clothing or something of that nature. The reason why people come to that business is because of what has been sold for so amount of time. There's a relationship that a lot of these neighbors or these consumers and customers have with that particular business, and to have them stop doing what they've been doing that we may not ethically or morally agree with, but it has been approved in the past for it to be done, to all of a sudden have them stop. That's an additional, not only cost, but an additional liability on that business owner, and on the family of those business folks. I'd have to echo Kathy's concerns. I have moral and personal ethical issues that I know as a pastor and as a father I have. But as a commissioner, I have to think about what's best for the communities and those business owners in those communities that for so long have been called legally able to operate in that. And then to put so much stress and stipulations on that all of a sudden is, in my personal opinion, wrong. And I have to stand on that by saying that's wrong, because I have to put myself in those shoes, in those people's shoes. So, Kathy, I appreciate your courage to say what you said, and I have to stand with you on that. I agree with you.
Go ahead.
I just have a question about, has there been a approach, like I would say a balanced approach, because, to run a business, it takes a lot of dedication, a lot of finances. Some people call it generation of wealth. But at the same time, we also have moral duties. As an educator, I'm an educator. I've been teaching third grade for 18 years. I go to my class. I have my 28 students. At the same time, keeping communities safe, but at the same time, running a business. So has the city considered a balanced approach where there could be a win-win situation for the businesses and for the community and for the children?
That I can't speak on. I can't speak on that.
I would say is that's probably the city's goal.
It's probably a question
That's
best
part of
addressed
the
to
goal,
the
right?
city council.
Yeah, I think, so I'll make a comment. If anybody else want to make a comment or make a motion too, but I think, this is where everything's headed, right? I think this is where everything's headed. In regards to having these very strict seven shops per district, I would like to see something like how we did the liquor licenses, where it's more like a goal, potentially being able to grandfather some in, and then all of a sudden start reducing it moving forward, okay? I don't want to really hurt any of these businesses, but I think a lot of these businesses, they understand, they see everything that's going on TV, right? This is where everything's headed. Like, no matter what, no matter how long you run your business, there's going to be heavy, tight scrutiny and regulations that's going to come down hard on them too. So I would like to see it more as a goal, and then start working towards reducing that as much as possible, okay? With that being said, I would want to kick this back to staff and have you guys work on it, just because I don't want to kill it. Ultimately, I don't want to kill it. I want this to stay active and stay live, because I want to make sure we put everybody else on notice. I want all those other smoke shops who aren't here, I want them to understand that, hey, there's a potential that we're going to potentially get shut down, so we need to start shaping up and cleaning stuff up around here too. Okay.
I support that completely, and I'd like to suggest maybe the staff could put in that we would grandfather in the smoke shops that meet the requirements, as far as not selling legal, not all these new requirements, but that they haven't had violations, that they don't let children in, and those kinds of things. And so grandfather them in, and maybe even further, and maybe you guys won't like this one, but grandfather it in, but if that current ownership stops and we have still too many in each district, then it can't be passed on.
Right.
So it'll get it down, get the number of smoke shops down, but not necessarily hurting the current guys that are doing what they're supposed to be doing in the right way. And then I don't know what to tell you about the rules changing all the time, because I have to deal with labor law, which you do too, and that changes all the time. So it is very hard to keep up with what you can and can't do. I understand that. but it would be helpful if whoever has it could give the smoke shop owners a list, an update, like quarterly, of what you can and can't sell. I just think there are better ways to do this. They're going to meet our need to get rid of these bad actors, but allow the businesses to stay in that are not bad actors. I think it's just too much.
Commissioner Calandra?
I think attrition is, part of the toolkit that you can use. When somebody closes and they have a smoke shop, someone else can't move in and have that same business. And anyone that is within a sensitive area, near a school, a church, or whatever, when that closes, it doesn't reopen.
Or maybe those in those areas have to apply for a CUP, or whenever a business gets sold, it's like, okay, if it gets sold, now it's going to trigger the CUP, right?
Now I'm thinking of it. Have you met with the good guys?
No.
So it might be a good idea to sit down with them, because they may have some good suggestions on how to make it better for everybody. It seems like a good idea.
Madam Chair, can I say one more thing in light of what?
Yes, that's fine.
I agree with you, because I think we have to understand something, and a lot of us have to really get out of a professional mindset and think about those who are bad actors. If a bad actor is illegally selling anything, shutting them down, I know what our attorney just got through stating, that we close down their business, but if they're illegally selling, that means that typically they have a relationship with whoever they're illegally selling to. So you shut down a store, that doesn't mean that you're going to stop the illegal sale. You're just going to stop the illegal sale at that legal business. I think we have to be very careful when we are punishing good actors for what bad actors are doing, because then we close down the legal selling places that are doing it the right way in light of what bad actors are doing because of their illegal practices that will not stop, because typically all we're doing is shutting them down for them to continue to do it at their homes or on the street or in front of a school or behind a school. By rewarding the good actors for what they're doing and shutting down the bad actors, I think we're actually showing and teaching our community, our kids who are coming up, that there is a proper way to do it, and there are rewards for doing it, while there is accountability for those who do it the wrong way. So I know there's a lot that's coming on you, and definitely, brother, please understand, you're doing a great job, bro. I mean, your power tie is killing it, and the suede jacket is hitting. I'm a fashion guru. If I could add some extra material to it, I'd wear it myself, but I'm bigger than you, bro. All right? And my hair is not as sweet as yours is, brother. But I give you, I honor you. I honor you, because you're doing a good job. We're trying to help those who are doing a good job and not punish them for what others are doing that are not even here, will never sit in this room to stand up for what good practices are. But you're doing an amazing job, bro. I honor you.
Yeah.
Just won the lottery for who had to write this one. So.
I think if anything, you achieve your goal of making it a conversation now, right? And that's what it is. Like, now we're having a conversation, and now everyone's kind of on notice now too. So I think it's a great start. And I want to make a motion, pass it back to staff, have you guys kind of work on it, maybe work with the community and see what their input is, right? Would like to see it not so restrictive, but finding like a middle ground or so. So that being said, I make a motion to bring it back to city staff.
Second.
Do I need to put like a date certain, or?
I would recommend that if you're going to continue it, to put a date certain on the
Can we
continuation.
just make a motion with the recommendations that we all just came up with, so they don't have to work as hard? Because giving it back to them, they're going to be, spinning their wheels, and then it's just going to come back to us. So we can just talk about all of our recommendations and maybe pass that? I mean, can we do that, or what do you guys prefer?
I think Philip has to work harder. I think he has good notes.
So why don't we do this? I'll go ahead and, I can take you want me to go ahead and take my motion back, and if you want to go ahead and state like every single line item?
Would you
recommendations?
prefer that? What works for?
You can do it either way. I would encourage you to package your recommendations to the city council to allow them to make the final decision based on your feedback and your input. But certainly it is at the discretion of the commission as to what you want to do.
Well, like, why don't we just do this? Phil, you've heard our concerns, right? I'm going ahead and make a motion to push it back to the city staff with the expectation that we're going to go ahead. I want to give you some time to work on this too, okay? So I would say to continue the matter to February 19th. Is that okay? Is that enough time, or do you need more time?
You can just tell us.
We'll do our best.
Yeah, well, let's do March then, okay? I'll go ahead and push it to March 19th with the expectation that the city staff will meet with the community and kind of get their input on it too. Okay? That being said, my motion's on the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Vice Chair Bray. All in favor say yes. Yes. All opposed say no. Item is continued. Do we have any reports from the secretary? Okay. Do we have any unscheduled oral communications? I see none. It's 8:16. Everyone have a wonderful evening. Meeting's adjourned.